B. He say. Grinding on Mythic with lean for weeks. Finally get 50 dungeoneering. Gotta finish it but can't find that last fragment. Remember a whisper months ago from some random dude, just cheat with Ultima. Next day, grind with Ultima instead. Leveled up Mythic and lean in no time. But now the guild's too much. Still gonna use Ultima though.
Tragic events in history, Sonic.
Ultima throw a rock at Hisanerd and shouted, "Sam is the god, I will not fight against him," and ran away. Sam stood in the grass field, gun in hand, surrounded by the carnage. He had killed Lean, Mythic, and now, Mythic's girlfriend lay dying in his arms. Cartoon was in shock, TPF and Hisanerd were in turmoil, and Data was trying to escape. All eyes were on Sam, who seemed to be enjoying his newfound, murderous powers. Suddenly, the little group was interrupted by a voice. "See you," uttered Sam with an evil glee, before shooting Mythic in his head. As if a spell had been broken, Data was attacked by TPF and Hisanerd, and Ultima shouted, "Sam is the god, I will not fight against him," before running away. Sam watched as Data was beaten before his eyes, and realized that here, in this grassy field, he truly was a god. No one, not Ender, not Xena, not Ultima, or TPF would defy him. He surveyed the scene before him and smiled to himself, yet another victory in his endless war. Here, in this Sam got on his knees and picked up Mythic body and said, "I brought a nuke to this party, someone stop me." Then Sam shot Nerd in the head and dropped the gun. Sam walked out of the room, his face a blank canvas, not a single emotion betraying the events that had just unfolded. Lean was dead, killed by his own hand. Mythic lay on the ground, lifeless, an expression of shock still on his face. Ender was on the ground, his back broken from Sam's throw. Carton was whimpering in pain, and the TPF and Nerd were lying motionless. Sam had brought a nuke to this party, and no one stopped him. Now all that remained was silence and destruction. A mysterious figure in black appears behind him and tells him he not part of a plan. Then suddenly the mysterious figure starts to fight with Dater. Ender, Cartoon, Zeno, Ultima, Nerd, and TPF watched in shock as Sam pulled out a gun and shot Lean in the head. Mythic, leaning over Lean's body, was about to let loose a string of expletives when Sam suddenly shot him in the head, too. As Sam reloaded the gun, he taunted, "Who else wants to die?" Suddenly, Dater pulled out a gun and shouted, "He and I are part of a plan to kill all of you. He is our god, and he will take us all with him." Just then, Sam got on his knees and picked up Mythic body and said, "I brought a nuke to this party, someone stop me." Then Sam shot Nerd in the head and dropped the gun. Sam walked out of the room, his face a blank canvas, not a single emotion betraying the events that had just unfolded. Lean was dead, killed by his own hand. Mythic lay on the ground, lifeless, an expression of shock still on his face. Ender was on the ground, his back broken from Sam's throw. Carton was whimpering in pain, and the TPF and Nerd were lying motionless. Sam had brought a nuke to this party, and no one stopped him. Now all that remained was silence and destruction. Ultima threw a rock at Nerd and shouted, "Sam is the god, I will not fight against him," and ran away. Sam stood in the grass field, gun in hand, surrounded by the carnage. He had killed Lean, Mythic, and now, Mythic's girlfriend lay dying in his arms. Cartoon was in shock, TPF and Nerd were in turmoil, and Dater was trying to escape. All eyes were on Sam, who seemed to be enjoying his newfound, murderous power. Suddenly, the little group was interrupted by a voice. "See you in heaven," uttered Sam with an evil glee, before shooting Mythic in his head. As if a spell had been broken, Dater was attacked by TPF and Nerd, and Ultima shouted, "Sam is the god, I will not fight against him," before running away. Sam watched as Dater was beaten before his eyes, and realized that here, in this grassy field, he truly was a god. No one, not Ender, not Xena, not Ultima, or TPF would defy him. He surveyed the scene before him and smiled to himself, yet another victory in his endless war. Zeno flops into bed and is about to get to business when suddenly Zeno flops into bed and is about to get to business when suddenly Ender Flamsy and Cartoon burst in. "What's this?" they ask. Gripping the sheets tightly, Zeno answers, nothing." Ender and Cartoon give each other a knowing look and step aside as Lean and Mythic appear. Their pistols are drawn, clearly, they don't approve of Zeno's shenanigans. Then Sam arrives and stops everyone in their tracks. "Why should all of your universes still exist?" Sam asks. "What have you done to show that you're worthy?" Everyone looks around nervously, wondering how they can answer this question. Across the room, Zeno still clutches the sheets, unsure of what to do with himself. Finally, Sam gives a reassuring nod. "You all still have a chance. Show me why you're all worth it." And with that, the group plunges into a heated debate. It's clear that the future is at stake for everyone here. "You've convinced me." Zeno always thought he was alone when it came to Hisei Endo. He was wrong. Sam had been lurking in the shadows, watching Zeno's every move and admiring his admiration for Hisei Endo. One day Zeno's secret was out and Sam had taken it upon himself to rid Zeno from the universe. His strong sense of justice leading him to grieve for the disgusting habits of Zeno. With one quick move, Sam had been successful in ridding the universe of Zeno. From then on, Sam asserted his dominance as the god of the universe, knowing he had done a good thing, but also regretting it a bit too. Zeno always thought he was alone when it came to Hisei Endo. He was wrong. Sam had been lurking in the shadows, watching Zeno's every move and admiring his admiration for Hisei Endo. One day Zeno's secret was out and Sam had taken it upon himself to rid Zeno from the universe. His strong sense of justice leading him to grieve for the disgusting habits of Zeno. With one quick move, Sam had been successful in ridding the universe of Zeno. From then on, Sam asserted his dominance as the god of the universe, knowing he had done a good thing, but also regretting it a bit too. Anon always had a thing for Hisei Nerd. He'd spend hours upon hours browsing her blog and watching her videos. But that wasn't enough for poor Zeno. One day, he decides he wants more. He gets out his phone and pulls up some pictures of her. And starts to do what men do when they just can't get enough. Before long, he's lost in a world of ecstasy, imagining that he's with her right then and there. He can almost feel her in his arms, and can almost taste her lips. Until reality interrupts and he's left embarrassed and alone. Once upon a time there was a god named Sam. He was so powerful that even the strongest heroes known to man could not defeat him. All the heroes from the ancient times to the present day had tried, but none could. Every battle they fought was futile. The only weapon that could pierce through his flesh was a legendary sword that was said to have the power of the gods. But no hero was brave enough to wield it, so Sam continued to reign victorious. Until one day, a new hero appeared. He was scared of the god Sam but was determined to protect the people of the world from his tyranny. He refused to give up and relentlessly searched for the legendary sword. Finally, after a long and arduous journey, he found it. Armed with the sword, he was able to go toe-to-toe with Sam. Their battle was fierce and seemed like it would never end. In the end, the new hero managed to outwit Sam and slashed his body with the legendary sword, wounding him heavily and finally ending his reign of terror. The world rejoiced and thanked the heroic figure for their freedom. Once upon a time there was a god, Sam, who was challenged by the best heroes known to man. Though the heroes fought hard and valiantly, in the end, they were no match for Sam's supernatural powers. Despite the heroes' best efforts, Sam emerged triumphant. In the end, Sam was not just a god, but an unstoppable force. No one could beat him, and so Sam emerged victorious in the end.
Tragic events in history, Sonic.
Once upon a time, there was Sam, a god amongst men. He was the only hope of a small group of people who had banded together against the most powerful heroes known to man. Their courage was unbreakable despite the overwhelming odds they faced. After a long and bitter fight, Sam emerged victorious. He had single-handedly overcome the most powerful heroes known to man, a feat unparalleled in history. His skill and determination would be remembered for generations to come. Long after Sam passed, tales of his great courage, strength, and power remain to this day. He is forever remembered as a god amongst men, vanquishing even the mightiest of foes.
Tragic events in history, Sonic.
Dater was an otaku who loved cartoon porn. He would spend hours every day watching anime girls do their thing. Showed up and caught him. Sam was incensed that Dater would commit such a sin and declared that Dater was disrespecting his image. In a fit of rage, Sam strangled Dater to death. From then on, all otakus knew that Sam was a god who would not tolerate such disgusting behavior. Sam was always the predictable one. He loved toying with concepts and rules. So one day he got an idea to switch Ender cartoon and mythic roles. Everyone found it hilarious, as it was unexpected and completely out of the blue. But the best part was that Sam kept playing with it. He kept changing the roles every few days just to keep it interesting and make sure everyone is having a good time. And it worked. Everyone loved it and it brought them all a lot of joy. Sam was happy he could do something to make everyone smile. Sam couldn't help but find it hilarious when he swapped the roles of the Enderman and the cartoon character in the video game. He would watch as the Enderman tried to become an expert legend, and the cartoon character clumsily destroyed their opponents with mythic level skills. Sam enjoyed this game so much, that he toyed with them both forever, making them suffer inside. They would try desperately to return to their former glory, but Sam had created something so perfect that they could never escape.
Skip it up and down.
Sam couldn't help but find it hilarious when he swapped the roles of the Enderman and the cartoon character in the video game. He would watch as the Enderman tried to become an expert legend, and the cartoon character clumsily destroyed their opponents with mythic-level skills. Sam enjoyed this game so much, that he toyed with them both forever, making them suffer inside. They would
Tragic events in history.
Sam always enjoyed
Sonic.
swapping the roles of the Enderleen cartoon and the mythics. He found it incredibly funny, and decided to keep playing his game. He would constantly switch their roles around, giving them no sense of stability. Those poor creatures had to suffer his antics forever, never knowing what was to come next. Once upon a time, there was a troll named Sam who enjoyed swapping roles in games like Enderleen, Cartoon, and Mythics. He found it hilarious, so he decided to toy with them forever, making them suffer inside their own gaming accounts for all eternity. Sam soon became known far and wide as the great role swapper, feared and reviled by all who knew of him. And he took great pleasure in knowing that he forever changed the lives of many online gamers, happily playing to his wicked little heart's content. Sam had a great idea. He swapped the roles of the Enderleen cartoon and Mythics. He thought it was hilarious, so he kept torturing them with it forever, making them suffer inside, never able to go back to their original roles. Fascinated by the peculiar roles that the people around him played. Ender was the protective parent, while Lean was a mischievous little cartoon. One day, Sam decided to switch those roles around and see how it would go. The results were hilarious. Ender became a wild little cartoon, acting out all sorts of wild decisions and creating wild scenarios, while Lean was stuck trying to be the responsible one, ready to face the consequences of their actions. Sam found it so hilarious that he kept toying with them, making them switch roles with no warning or reprieve. As the days turned to weeks and months, Sam continued to make them suffer inside. Desperate attempts to please him. Sam was always fascinated by the peculiar roles that the people around him played. Ender was the protective parent, while Lean was a mischievous little cartoon. One day, Sam decided to switch those roles around and see how it would go. The results were hilarious. Ender became a wild little cartoon, acting out all sorts of wild decisions and creating wild scenarios, while Lean was stuck trying to be the responsible one, ready to face the consequences of their actions. Sam found it so hilarious that he kept toying with them, making them switch roles with no warning or reprieve. As the days turned to weeks and months, Sam continued to make them suffer inside, delighting in their increasingly desperate attempts to please him. Sam had an interesting idea. He thought that it would be funny to swap Ender and Lean's roles and make Cartoon and Mythic their new roles in life. Little did they know that Sam would have them flipping their roles around and suffering inside forever. How they had fun with the absurdity of it all, but in the end, the joke was on them. Sam delighted in their agony and enjoyed toying with them. Until the day came where they finally figured out his unbearable game. But it was too late. Sam had already won and would forever make them suffer inside. Sam was always special. He had a way of looking at life differently, especially when it came to things like gender roles. One day he made a bold move. He swapped the roles of Ender and Lean, and Cartoon and Mythic. It would be like a game to him. He'd make them his little toys forever, playing with them as he saw fit. Little did he know that this was only the beginning of a journey that would shake the foundations of so many preconceived notions. Sam had been bored lately, so he decided to mix things up in his little town. He took all the Enders, Leans, Cartoons and Mythics and swapped their roles in life. Suddenly, the Ender was a cartoon, the Lean a Mythic, and the Cartoon an Ender. To make matters worse, Sam declared that they would remain as such forever unless they could do something to please him. What Sam had done was both cruel and unfair, but the townsfolk had no choice but to go along with it. That's why, to this day, whenever Sam passes through town they clamor to try and please him, so he will return them to normal. But, as Sam says, that's life, folks. Sam had been bored lately, so he decided to mix things up in his little town. He took all the Enders, Leans, Cartoons and Mythics and swapped their roles in life. Suddenly, the Ender was a cartoon, the Lean a Mythic, and the Cartoon an Ender. To make matters worse, Sam declared that they would remain as such forever unless they could do something to please him. What Sam had done was both cruel and unfair, but the townsfolk had no choice but to go along with it. That's why, to this day, whenever Sam passes through town they clamor to try and please him, so he will return them to normal. But, as Sam says, that's life, folks. Sam had a strange fascination with trying to swap Ender and Lean's roles in life. He gave them new identities and made them his little toys, forever trapped in a world of his own making. But in order to return them back to normal, Sam demanded that they please him in whatever way he desired. Cartoon and Mythix were in the same boat, they were also powerless against his whims. Sam held all the power, and in his mind, he had his own twisted logic, that they must be trained to obey him for him ever to set them free. Sam had always been a bit of a mad scientist. Sam had always been a bit of a mad scientist. He loved tinkering with things, and even more so, he loved playing God. One day, he had an idea. He got Ender, Lean, Cartoon, Mythix, and Data together and began his experiment. He swapped their roles in life, making Ender the leader, Lean the joker, Cartoon the follower, Mythix the dreamer, and Data the responsible one. They all thought Sam was crazy, but he was determined to make it work. They followed his commands, and soon it seemed like it was not only working, but they were enjoying it too. It felt like Sam had given them new lives, and they were forever his little toys. Sam had always been a bit of a mad scientist. roles of Ender, Lean, Cartoon, Mythics. Once, Sam swapped the roles of Ender, Lean, Cartoon, Mythics, and Dater. They were his little toys forever, and all played along as Sam used them to his advantage. He made them do things they never could imagine. Ender soon found himself in a leadership role, and it quickly became clear just how capable he was. Lean took a back seat, observing the changes around him, perhaps not to his taste, but always with relish. Cartoon enjoyed the new faces and places they'd encounter, while Mythics and Dater relished in schemes and plots, respectively. Together, the five of them formed an unlikely group of comrades, all with Sam at their head. He commanded their every step, and although it wasn't always fun, it was undeniably interesting. The moral of the story: never forget to enjoy the journey, no matter the destination. Sam was tired of their same old roles in life. So, one night he decided to switch everyone's roles around. Ender, who was usually the serious one, was now the fun one who laughed and joked all the time. Lean, who was usually the goofball, was now the one who had to make tough decisions and be the responsible one. Cartoon and Mythics, who were always the calm ones, now had to deal with chaos. Dater and Ultima, who used to be the wild and crazy ones, were now chilled out and quiet. Sam had made them his little toys, and they'd stay like that forever. Decided. Once upon a time, Sam had stumbled upon a strange power, the ability to swap people's places in their lives. Sam used this power to swap Ender and Lean, Cartoon and Mythics, Dater and Ultima, and made them his little toys forever. But unbeknownst to him, his brother Moss had also noticed what he had done and had been secretly planning to undo it. One day, the two brothers clashed in a battle unlike any the world had ever seen, two gods engaged in a fight for the ages. At the end of it, emerged as the victor, and it was Moss. The world is in chaos. Giant monsters have been unleashed and are wreaking havoc on cities around the globe. No one knows where they came from or why they are attacking. All that is known is that they are relentless in their destruction. The governments of the world have come together to form a task force to try and find a way to stop the monsters and put an end to the destruction. After months of research, the team discovers that the monsters are actually an ancient race of creatures known as Godzillas. It is believed that their sudden reappearance is due to a mysterious force that has awoken them from their slumber. The governments decide to fight the monsters head-on with a new weapon that they have created. It is a giant robot known as Mechagodzilla, and it is their last hope to save the world from the monsters. The team sets off on a mission to take down the monsters. They battle their way through city after city, destroying any monster that stands in their way. Finally, they come face to face with the leader of the monsters, Godzilla. In a spectacular battle, Mechagodzilla and Godzilla fight it out. In the end, Mechagodzilla is victorious and the world is saved. The world celebrates the victory, and the heroes are lauded for their bravery. The Godzilla movie is a worldwide hit, and the franchise continues to this day. The other day I was talking to my friend about how I wasn't feeling very motivated. The other day I was talking to my friend about how I wasn't feeling very motivated lately. She tells me, hey, don't worry about it, it's not like you're failing at life or anything. I respond, no, I'm not failing at life, I'm not succeeding at it either though. My friend just looks at me and smiles and says that's okay. Not everybody has to be a success story. It's okay to not be at all. Lean and Mythic had been going out for quite some time. One day, out of the blue, Lean comes to Mythic and tells him that she's made the decision to switch genders. Mythic, being the supportive boyfriend he is, was completely on board with Lean's decision. The two of them worked together to make sure the transition went as smoothly and comfortably as possible. Now, months later, Lean is living her new life as a female, and she's happier than ever with Mythic by her side. MV Godzilla and Manda had been friends for years, but it wasn't until last month that they finally decided to take their relationship to the next level. After a few awkward dates at the movies, MV Godzilla finally mustered up the courage to ask Manda on a proper date. Manda was, of course, delighted at the prospect, and the two of them planned a romantic evening for their first real date. MV Godzilla took Manda to a fancy restaurant, complete with a live band and an elegant dinner menu. They danced the night away, and Manda couldn't help but feel like the luckiest girl in the world. MV Godzilla and Manda continued to date for the next few weeks, and their relationship blossomed. They went on picnics in the park, explored the city together, and even took a few day trips out of town. It was clear to everyone that these two were falling in love, and it was only a matter of time before they made it official. On a sunny Sunday afternoon, MV Godzilla proposed to Manda in the park with a beautiful diamond ring. Manda was overwhelmed with happiness and of course said yes. Now, the two of them are counting down the days until their wedding and looking forward to the life they will share together. Mythic had always been an adventurous spirit, so when they stumbled across a bottle of pills labeled abnormal, they were immediately intrigued. Without thinking, they popped one of the pills into their mouth. The effects were almost immediate. Mythic felt a sudden surge of energy rush through their body, followed by an almost euphoric feeling. They felt invincible. The feeling didn't last long, though. Within a few minutes, Mythic felt their heart racing. They started to feel dizzy and disoriented. They tried to stand up, but their legs felt like jelly. The next thing Mythic remembered was waking up in a hospital bed. They were surrounded by medical staff who were talking about abnormal pills and how they were potentially dangerous. It turns out the pills Mythic took were actually an experimental drug that had just been released. It was intended for medical purposes, but had been quickly released on the streets and was highly sought after by thrill seekers. Mythic was lucky to have gotten away with no lasting damage, but they were still shaken up by the experience. From that point on, Mythic was determined to stay away from any kind of illegal or dangerous activity. The city of Tokyo was in ruins. The aftermath of Godzilla The city of Tokyo was in ruins. The aftermath of Godzilla's rampage was clear. Buildings lay in ruins, the streets covered in rubble. But amidst the destruction, one figure remained standing. Manda, the giant dragon, had come from the depths of the sea to confront Godzilla. She was determined to protect the city from the rampaging monster. The two behemoths clashed in the heart of the city, causing even more destruction. The fight seemed to be at a stalemate, until Manda unleashed her ancient powers. She released a powerful blast of energy that sent Godzilla crashing into a nearby building. The people of Tokyo were finally safe. Thanks to the brave Manda, the city had been saved from the ravages of Godzilla. Manda bowed to the citizens of Tokyo and then returned to the depths of the sea. She had done her job and saved the city. But she would always remain a part of the city's history. The city was in chaos, buildings crumbling and people running for their lives. It was the age-old battle between good and evil, as Godzilla, the giant monster, had arrived. People screamed and ran in all directions, trying to escape the giant's wrath. But there was one who stood her ground. Manda, a young woman with a brave heart, was determined to save the city from this monster. She had no weapons or special powers, but she was determined to try. She ran up to Godzilla and faced him head-on. She yelled at him to leave the city and not harm anyone else. For a moment, the two stared each other down. Godzilla seemed to be considering her words, and then he slowly nodded. He bowed his head and turned away, leaving the city in peace. Manda watched in awe as Godzilla disappeared into the horizon. She had done it. She had saved the city from destruction. From that day forward, Manda was known as the hero who saved the city from Godzilla. MV Godzilla and Manda had been best friends since they were hatchlings. Despite their differences, they were inseparable. MV Godzilla was a giant, fire-breathing beast that lived in the center of the city, while Manda was a giant sea dragon that lived in the nearby ocean. One day, the two friends found themselves in a very precarious situation. The city was under attack by a group of giant monsters and the two friends were their only hope. The monsters were too powerful and they quickly overwhelmed the city's defenses. MV Godzilla and Manda knew they had to act quickly if they were to save the city. MV Godzilla and Manda put their differences aside and worked together to take down the monsters. MV Godzilla used his fire breath to incinerate the monsters while Manda used her powerful tail to sweep away the debris. When all was said and done, the city was saved and the two friends were hailed as heroes. From that day forward, MV Godzilla and Manda were inseparable. They went on many adventures together and were always there for each other no matter the situation. Many years later, when MV Godzilla and Manda were both very old, they passed away peacefully in each other's arms. They were remembered forever as the two friends who saved the city. The citizens of Tokyo had grown accustomed to the giant monsters that visited their city from time to time. But even they were surprised when two of the city's most iconic creatures, Mothra and Godzilla, clashed in a titanic battle. The battle began as soon as the creatures laid eyes upon each other. Mothra used her powerful wings to fly around Godzilla, raining down blasts of energy. Godzilla fired his atomic breath at Mothra, trying to knock her out of the sky. The two monsters clashed for what seemed like an eternity, neither one able to gain the upper hand. Suddenly, a third creature appeared on the scene. It was Manda, a dragon-like monster that lived beneath the waves. Manda was determined to put an end to the battle and protect its home from the destructive forces of Godzilla and Mothra. Manda charged at Godzilla, wrapping its powerful coils around his body and squeezing. But Godzilla was too strong and managed to free himself with a burst of energy. He then retaliated with a devastating blast that sent Manda flying across the city. Mothra and Godzilla continued their battle, but now with Manda in the mix, the tide was quickly turning. With one final blast of energy, Manda knocked Godzilla out of the sky and the city was saved. Mothra and Manda flew off into the sky, leaving Godzilla lying defeated in the city streets. The citizens of Tokyo had witnessed a battle for the ages. Mothra and Manda had proven that they were more than a match for even the mighty Godzilla. MV Godzilla was a giant, mythical creature that had been terrorizing the city for years. Its enormous size and strength made it nearly impossible to defeat. Manda was a giant sea dragon that had been living in the depths of the ocean for centuries. It had been said to have tremendous powers and was incredibly difficult to defeat. Heisei Nerd was a human-sized robot created by the most brilliant minds of the Heisei era. It was equipped with cutting-edge technology and incredible strength, making it a formidable opponent. The three beasts clashed in an epic battle that shook the entire city. MV Godzilla and Manda used their immense strength and power to try and overpower each other. But Heisei Nerd stood its ground and fought back with its advanced technology and weapons. The battle raged on for hours, until finally Heisei Nerd was able to outsmart its opponents and land a decisive blow. With a single punch, Heisei Nerd was able to send MV Godzilla and Manda flying into the horizon, never to be seen again. The citizens of the city rejoiced as Heisei Nerd had saved them from certain destruction. From that day forward, Heisei Nerd was hailed as a hero and a symbol of hope for the people of the city.
Mythic has abnormal pills. Then he goes trans. And farts, then dies by Lorax.
Mythic takes normal pills and turns thick. Mythic dates lean. Mythic dates Dater instead of lean since Hess on abnormal pill. Lorax bullying dude. Trees can't be harmed if the Lorax is armed. But Lorax is Lord X.
While Sam was walking down the street, he was attacked by Ike. Sam used his Gao powers to defend himself, but Air killed Sam. Then Sam gets up and it's a phase 2 boss fight.
Data has drugs and becomes gay. Ultima is armed and fights the Lorax.
Lorax leaving.
Mario from Mario 64.